The morning was quiet, almost too quiet. I was sipping my black coffee on the porch, listening to the birds sing, when I saw them, a man and a woman in cheap suits, clipboards in hand, walking down my driveway like they owned the place. My dog, Scout, growled low under his breath. I didn't move at first. You learn a lot about people by how they walk toward you. These two weren't neighbors, and they sure as hell weren't friendly. "Mr. Thompson," the man asked, flashing a badge that looked like it was printed on a home printer. "That's me," I said, standing slowly, keeping my eyes steady on them. "We're here from the Homeowners Association," the woman announced, her voice sharp and smug. "You're in violation of several community codes, and we're issuing an immediate foreclosure notice." I almost laughed. "Funny," I said, "because last I checked, this neighborhood doesn't even have an HOA." The man smirked, stepping closer. "Sir, you don't want to make this harder than it has to be. We have the authority to seize your property if you don't comply." My instincts kicked in. I'd seen intimidation tactics all over the world, from warlords to corrupt officials. These two were amateurs. But I played along. "Why don't you come inside?" I offered calmly, "we can talk about it." Inside, I let them sit at the dining table. My house wasn't fancy, but every wall told a story, pictures of my unit, the folded flag from my father's funeral, medals tucked in a glass case. I caught the woman's eyes drift toward them, and I saw the flicker of unease cross her face. She knew then, they had picked the wrong man. They laid out their fake documents, bold red stamps screaming foreclosure across the top. I studied the paper silently, then looked up. "You two want to tell me the real story?" I asked, my voice low. The men shifted uncomfortably. "These are legal. If you don't leave by the end of the week." I slammed my hand on the table, making Scout bark loud and deep. "Cut the crap," I said firmly. "I've dealt with pirates, insurgents, and men twice as dangerous as you. So let me be clear, you're going to walk out that door right now, or things will get very uncomfortable for you." The woman stood quickly, her fake authority crumbling. The man muttered something under his breath, and they stormed out, throwing threats over their shoulder. But I knew it wasn't over. Men like that don't walk away, they regroup. And something deep in my gut told me this was bigger than just two con artists. This was organized. And they had their eyes set on my neighborhood. As the sun set that evening, I sat back on the porch with my rifle across my lap, watching the road. Peace was a luxury I had earned, but it seemed fate wasn't done testing me yet. 2 days later, it escalated. I came home from a supply run to find my fence spray painted with the word "evicted" in red. My mailbox was smashed, and a notice was stapled to the door, "More fake documents." They wanted me rattled. They wanted me scared. Instead, they got me angry. That night, I drove into town and asked around. Veterans have their ways of finding answers. People trust you when they know you've worn the uniform. It didn't take long before a store clerk whispered what I needed to hear. There was a group going around pretending to be HOA officers, targeting elderly folks, threatening them into signing over their homes. They were scammers, but dangerous ones, backed by a bigger syndicate. And now, they had chosen me. The next morning, they came back, this time with 3 men instead of 2. They parked a black SUV outside my house, stepping out like they owned the whole street. Neighbors peeked from their curtains, afraid. That made my blood boil. This was my community, and I wasn't about to let fear spread. I opened my door before they knocked. "You boys lost?" I asked, voice calm, body steady. "Mr. Thompson," the leader sneered. "This is your last warning. Vacate the premises, or we'll have to take action." I stepped out, closing the door behind me. The street was silent. Then I said, loud enough for my neighbors to hear, "You think you can scare me? I'm not just some old man. I'm a retired Navy SEAL. I fought for this country, and I'll fight for my home. You want a battle? You just found one." The men exchanged uneasy glances. They weren't expecting resistance. I took one slow step forward, locking eyes with the leader. "But here's the thing, you're not just messing with me. You're messing with this whole neighborhood. These people work their whole lives for their homes, and I'll be damned if I let cowards like you take them." Neighbors started to step out, Mrs. Jenkins from across the street, old Mr. Harris with his cane, even young families who normally stayed quiet. One by one, they stood behind me. The fake HOA had picked the wrong fight. The men backed away, muttering threats, but I knew it was over. They'd leave us alone. Not because I scared them with violence, but because I showed them what real strength looks like, a community united, led by someone who refused to bow down. That night, I lowered my flag at sunset and felt something I hadn't in years, not just peace, but pride. Retirement didn't mean my battles were over. It just meant my battlefield had changed. And sometimes, all it takes is one person standing up to remind everyone else that their homes, their families, and their freedom are worth defending. White heavy check mark ending message for viewers. Never underestimate the quiet neighbor, the old soldier, or the person you think is powerless. Sometimes the strongest warriors are the ones who've already fought their wars, and still refuse to back down.